around Easter. I can't get this right.
That's easy for you to say.
Around Easter, but I'll bet they don't look like these.
As a matter of fact, Brett, Dan Smith's eggs are works of art. News Channel 5's Clifton Hunt found them off the beaten path.
Show off.
This is all about the Easter message. These eggs are very symbolic. They are very deeply ingrained in the Ukrainian culture. I think there is something from deep in the past that makes me do this.
It's called pysanky, the ancient Ukrainian folk art of egg decorating. Chickens and geese make the eggs, and Nashville's Dan Smith does the rest.
I'm putting beeswax on this, and the beeswax is blackened because it has carbon from this flame. Everything I just covered up is going to be blue in the finished egg. And all these colors are just in the egg. It's not painted, it's dye.
The symbols and colors combine together to create beautiful works of art. But it's those elements that allow the eggs to tell a story.
It's more than just a pretty picture. It is a story. This particular egg is the 40 days of Lent. There are 40 triangles on this egg. That reminds us of the 40 days of Lent. Each triangle is a symbol of the Trinity. The color all has meaning. The white on the shell is purity. Yellow is the sun. The red is the passion and blood. The black background represents eternity. They're all traditional designs. They're all authentic designs, but the way that they're incorporated is my own choosing. And that's what's so important to me, to express myself this way in this art.
You can see Dan and his eggs at St. Mary's Bookstore in Nashville. He'll be demonstrating his craft each Saturday in March from 10 until 1.
It's folk tradition. It's very old, and I want to keep it alive. I think it's very meaningful.
Clifton Hunt, News Channel 5.
Aren't those gorgeous?
They are really great. You know, I will never be able now to put an egg in some pink dye and think I've done a terrific job with my Easter eggs after seeing something like that.
Not after that.
Can you crack those eggs and eat them? I don't guess you do, though, do you?
You wouldn't dare.
I couldn't afford it, could I? But he's right. Those are traditional designs, and it's just amazing how that art, I mean, you have to call it art,
absolutely,
is kept alive today, because so many times this tends to fade as the generations come over from the old country, and you lose all of this. But he's keeping it alive, and that's great.
A big welcome to you, everyone. I'm Joel Moore, and this is your weekly visit to Tennessee Crossroads. First, we have an Easter story for you about a man who takes his egg dyeing seriously, using a rare method that's centuries old. Then Rob Wiles serves up a story from Kentucky about a top car hop he met. Al Vex finds an Eagleville man who restores old church organs, and Susan Watson meets a world-renowned maker of porcelain dolls. While Easter is a religious holiday, it's also one that's a lot of fun for kids who enjoy the dyeing, collecting, and hunting of Easter eggs. Well, for Nashvilleian Dan Smith, Easter eggs have an exceptional meaning, one that's both spiritual and fun. You see, it all started when Dan learned a once flourishing, very difficult art form from Eastern Europe. Easter is the oldest Christian holiday, the one, of course, which celebrates the resurrection of Christ and new beginnings. For a Nashville artist named Dan Smith, the Lenten season leading up to Easter is a very busy one. You see, Dan uses the symbols of this holiday in an ancient Ukrainian art form called pysanky.
It is intriguing because it sits there and it looks like just a rock, but then life comes out of it. And how that happens is all very miraculous. We don't still understand what makes all this happen.
And Dan Smith makes something magic happen to this mysterious oval, thanks to a folk art that he shares with ancient Ukrainian artists.
I wanted to go over your reservations for your business trip to Italy.
In his 9-to-5 life, Dan's a travel agent who works with international business travelers. He speaks several languages. But once a year, during Lent, Dan's devoted to the language of pysanky and his egg ministry. As one of only a handful of Americans who practice this craft, he loves to share it, and does so for a month each year at St. Mary's Bookstore in Nashville.
I
like showing this to little children who may do something similar by taking a crayon and writing their name or drawing something on an egg and dyeing it another color.
It's a wax-resistant batik method of egg decorating that goes back over 1,000 years to pagan times in Ukraine. When the country became Christian in the 9th century, the colors and symbols took on new meanings. Flowers stand for life, growth, and charity. Stars signify God's love. Pine needles represent long life, youth, and health. A cross, of course, symbolizes the suffering and resurrection of Christ.
Well, often I work with Slavic music in the background. That sort of sets the stage for this. I often work with an icon in front of me. It's a way of focusing. And then I work on the symbols. I think about what I'm putting on there. It's not just this dot, that dot, this triangle. All of that has meaning.
The whole process takes about 4 hours, not counting the time it takes to empty the egg.
Well,
And the air forces all of the egg back out through the hole. I take the wax and draw on the egg everything I want to be white in the finished egg. These designs are placed on there. This egg will represent the 40 days of Lent. Once I finish with the designs I want to be white, I take the egg and put it into yellow dye. That comes out this color. All that is shielded from the yellow dye. Everything is white underneath it. Then I draw triangles and the dots on the egg. It goes into a red dye and comes out like this. I put some more designs over it and cover up things I want to be red in the finished egg. Then that goes into black. This is after all the wax has been applied to the eggs and they've been placed in the last color of dye. For this one, it's black dye. So the egg is black and then there's the wax all over it. There's a lot of design that we can't see here that's going to come through after the wax is melted off. This is a time when something I've been working on and have going around in my head, when it finally appears, this is the magic.
Although hen eggs are the most popular, Dan decorates those of guineas, ducks, geese, and even ostriches. Considering the time, talent, and effort that goes into each egg, Dan doesn't charge that much for the final result. He could raise his prices. After all, there is a growing demand. But that's not the point. You see, he's doing it to keep alive an ancient, dying custom of Eastern Europe, and to carry on a new custom he started when he learned this rare form of folk art. It's an Easter ritual he wants to share, and that's it in an eggshell.
I enjoy having this as a hobby. As long as I can make it be a hobby, something that I do at a certain time of the year, and that keeps it fun and fresh for me, I'll continue to do it. If it were to become a chore, if it had to become a living, I would consider it work then, and I probably wouldn't do it.
By the way, Dan's works will be on display and on sale at St. Mary's Bookstore in Nashville through the month of April.
Right here in Nashville, a different kind of pastime. We'll introduce you to the artist who designs these extraordinary eggs. Easter is 2 weeks away, but already one Nashville man is getting his Easter eggs in order Photojournalist Todd Dunn shows us the artistry and the stories behind the pysanka, the Ukrainian Easter egg.
It's Ukrainian egg decorating, and the eggs themselves are called pysanky. So the Ukrainian people have kept this alive, and that's why I like the Ukrainian designs so much. They all tell a story. What I'm doing is I'm taking beeswax and putting it in a tool called a kistka. There's a little funnel on the end of it made of metal, and I'm heating it up. I'm putting beeswax into that funnel, and I'm drawing lines on the egg.
When you start, do you have a design in mind?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I work from design books that I have. The designs and symbols I'm putting on here all go back many, many centuries to pre-Christian times, some of them in the Ukraine. And I just show people what I'm doing. This is something that I demonstrate here in the store just during Lent.
I bought one last year. I wasn't going to jump to a goose egg this year, but I wanted to stay with my sunflower motif.
And on the top is a sunflower. This is a favorite flower of the Ukrainian people. In ancient times, people in the villages, families would have their own designs that they would do.
I take it out for Easter and then I put it away because I don't want to get too used to it. I want it to be special every Easter.
I find it very relaxing. I work at a computer all day long, and it helps me to relax.
Some ancient groups believe that if the custom of egg decorating should cease, evil will encompass the world and destroy it. You can see Dan Smith at work the next 2 Saturdays at St. Mary's Bookstore on West End Avenue.
Today on Crook and Chase, we'll get a preview of what happened when Ralph Emery went on the record with Olivia Newton-John. Comedian Mike Snyder shares the Grand Ole Opry stage with fellow picker who's half his size. Plus, we'll remember the First Lady of Country Music with her signature song. Ladies and gentlemen, Crook and Chase.
Welcome to the show. I hope everybody is feeling okay. There's a reason I say that, because she's feeling bad enough for everybody today. Oh, well, don't tell them what you're facing here.
Well, this is a talk show. My problem is when I talk, I go into coughing fits.
Ooh.
So who knows what's going to happen today?
This is a coughing fit show today.
Yes, it is.
Talk show. I've had that. I know what you're talking about. It's that little tickle in your throat that you get that you
Right
just
here.
can't squelch, right?
Right. Listen to me. I sound like a frog.
No, you don't sound bad at all. And as a matter of fact, Ralph Emery is back here. Ralph's on the show today, and I was asking Ralph. I said, Ralph, you being the consummate professional talk show host, I said, when that little thing happens to you, because we were observing you coughing over there.
Oh, you were observing me coughing?
Yeah, Ralph and I were.
Well, thanks for your help.
Ralph and I were at a distance watching you cough, and I said, Ralph, what do you do that? He said, well, Charlie, it never happens to me, so I don't know. But we're going to. He said a little bit of honey.
A little bit of honey.
Do we have any honey in the refrigerator upstairs?
Do we have honey?
Do we have any honey over here?
We did. Well, you have to
if we have honey in this refrigerator, it's probably been in there 3 or 4 years. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I tell you, you know who else is on the show today?
What?
Mike Snyder is on the show.
Yeah.
And he is. He's a good guy. I'm sure he has a good remedy, a good country family remedy for me.
Oh, yeah, those things float around everywhere.
Mike, if you're watching, come up with something for me, dear.
Oh, he will. He will.
Okay.
Okay, so stick around. We'll be sharing country remedies and everything else on the program today. I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Happy upcoming Easter to you.
Certainly.
And to everybody. I'm excited about Easter Sunday.
Do you actually still color eggs just for fun and, you know?
No.
No. I didn't think so.
I haven't done that in years.
Well, as a matter of fact, we're doing something on the show today which is kind of unique, and I have never heard of it before. Never heard it mentioned this way. Is it pysanky? Is
Pysanky.
that which is the art form? I guess it's the forerunner of what they do now for Easter eggs. You know, you color, you decorate, and all that sort of thing. This has been going on for centuries.
Centuries old, in the Ukraine,
right,
the region of Russia.
And you remove the inside of the egg. We'll show you how to do that, and then we'll show you some of the artistic work that can be done. It's really fascinating.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so we have an expert here to do that for you today on the show.
Our studio audience, call us in advance, 615-242-8000 for your free tickets.
Ready to decorate their Easter eggs, and really we think of it as something that the kids do for fun. Actually, this is a centuries-old art form from the Ukraine.
Right, it's called pysanky. Pysanky, and we have a gentleman today who is an artist, as you will indeed see his work here, as we say hello to Dan Smith. Hello, Dan. Come on in.
Hello, hi there.
Hello, how are you?
Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
Can I just show some of your work? Some of what you've done?
We were amazed.
I'm going to take a few and just hold them up right in front of me so you can see this artwork. Now, these are real eggs, correct? From what animal?
A goose. That's a goose egg.
These are goose eggs, both of them?
Yes.
And he has done all of this artwork on them. And what do these sell for?
Those are $70.
$70.
Put those down.
I would have thought even more.
But it's called pysanky, is that right?
Yes, pysanky.
Pysanky, so it's been going on for centuries, right?
Centuries and centuries, yes.
All right, well, we've seen what your work is. Now, we basically want to start out with, since we've never done this, the very beginning. So teach us something very easy and simple to do.
Okay, well, first of all, let's blow out an egg because we want the eggshell
Blow out an
hollow.
egg?
Absolutely. In this part of the country, we need to blow it out so that the barometric pressure doesn't make it crack when it's drying.
The barometric pressure?
So how do we blow it out?
So these are already done. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go over here.
Oh, you want us to make a mess,
we're going to do it up.
That's me egg.
Now I'm going to need this little cup.
Okay, and I'll take
And
this
I'll
one.
take an egg.
All right, now this is, we want you to, this is basically how you'll do it at home for the first time.
Do you stick it with this?
You're going to puncture the bottom of the egg.
Well, what's the top and what's the bottom?
That's your decision.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It's usually the wider part.
wider
Yeah,
part.
Charlie, that's right.
Where do you get this, by the way? These little goodies.
Ukrainian shops and all over the country. Ukrainian shops.
Can I just stick it?
Lots of neighborhoods all over the country. Absolutely. You're going to puncture it a little bit like this. Now, mine is not a bulb model, but you're going to puncture it.
It's not doing anything.
Right. You're going to have to use a little force and cradle it in your hand so that the shell doesn't break.
Oh, okay, that.
Yes.
Okay.
Or else we'll have lots of pieces, Humpty Dumpty, set on the wall. Okay, now.
I got it. Got it.
Now. You're getting there. Now.
All right, what's next, hot shot?
Okay. What you're going to do is pull that out and make a hole a little bit larger, like I'm doing with this other little tool.
Okay.
Here, so that you're carving out a little hole.
Where's the other little tool?
Well,
I use this?
We don't get another tool.
This is what I'm going to be blowing. You have a bulb model, but it's the same thing.
All right.
So make the hole a little bit larger.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
Is that big
because
enough?
we're not going to make another hole in the top. We're just going to make one in the bottom.
Okay.
Not like we did as children. Okay.
Now what?
So you're going to hold this over the cup very carefully.
Is that big enough?
And you just
Well, you need a little larger hole because
Okay.
while you pump that, the egg is going to come back out the same hole. The air is going to force it out that hole.
Oh, it is.
nothing's
Now.
coming out.
Well, hold it upside. Yeah, that's right, and blow the air into it.
Okay, now how's that? Is that about right? Or is that
That ought to work. That ought to work.
Now, what do you
Okay.
do?
Well,
You do this?
Just
Put the
pump
needle
it.
in there like that and pump? Come on, Dan, what am I supposed to do?
Let me do it in this one. Watch me.
Okay, watch
this is as if I had a bulb, but I'm going to control this with my own breath.
Okay, so you're really going back to the artwork of this. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, right. Show off.
Oh, look at you.
Okay, that's good.
Well, okay. It's not coming out. I give up.
Okay.
But you have one already done for us.
It's this idea. So what we do is empty them out. Okay, now what we're going to do,
Oh, come on.
we're going
it's
to have an
coming out.
omelet here in a minute, I think.
I know Charlie's making breakfast over here.
What's your
There it comes.
There
There's
it
a little bit. Hold it straight up and down.
Good for you, Sir Chase.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm just going to take
Okay.
the one you've already done.
I hate an
Okay.
uncooperative egg,
That's
you know?
right. Okay. Well, let's just put
Well, let's
this
use the
down
one
here.
that you've done,
Okay,
okay?
we've done some already.
All right. You got those right here.
Yes, there's one
Okay.
for you. Now we're going to strike up a match because we need to do that. You all have a candle, and
Yes.
we're going to draw a design on the shell
With
we are.
what?
with a magic tool called a kistka.
A kiska.
Kistka means chicken bone in Ukrainian, and this was probably a drumstick in the old days.
All right.
Okay, first
has
of
a-
all, find a chicken.
All
Find a
right.
chicken,
Okay, all right.
find a chicken bone. You can find an egg, all of that. What we're going to do is heat this little funnel up on the end, and I've already put some wax in yours. You're going to just sort of heat it over the flame gradually. That has beeswax in it.
Oh, in the little top
I've
over
already
here.
put it in there
Oh,
for
I
you.
see it melting.
Yes, and yours are a new Kiska, so mine's got a lot more black on it here with carbon. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw with the tool on the egg. Now you can
we
write
are.
your name. When you start off, you have to start simple. So you can write your name, or you can write whatever
Okay.
you
Oh
want
my
to
gosh,
write.
you're giving us a minute and a half. We can't do this in a minute and a half, you guys.
No, we
Okay.
can't.
Okay.
Okay, I got my name to go on there. Right?
Okay.
All
Now,
right.
What we do when we get the designs we want on here with the wax, we're going to dip it into different colors of dye.
Okay, and let's show the process. We have some eggs here that show the chronological process of this.
Right.
Like, just to get a close-up on this one, and we can see this is your drawing. No,
Right.
no, we need a close-up just on the white egg, please.
The white egg,
There
when
you
we
go.
get to the white egg, it has the wax on it, just the beeswax.
Just the wax, okay.
Then, everything that's covered with wax won't change color when I put it into the dye.
As you will see here.
As you see, when I put it into yellow, the old lines are on here, and then I draw some more.
All right.
Then I put that yellow egg into some blue dye,
Isn't that
and
neat?
it turns green.
Incredible.
And here's
This
some
is
of the
fun.
designs. Then I leave it in there, and it turns blue. And then I do the pink and more designs, gradually building the design.
Isn't that
And so
something?
the end one is what
It's
you
black,
come up with.
and I put it in the black dye. Well, when it comes out, it looks like this.
Oh, my.
It's just black, the black shine of the egg and the wax. So what I'll do is hold it over the flame,
Right.
like this.
And that melts. Oh.
Melts the wax.
Now just do a little portion of it so we can see here.
And there is the
everybody, look
design.
at
Look
that.
at that.
That
Marvelous.
is the most beautiful thing.
It
and now,
takes-
does it naturally shine like these?
No,
Or you have to
I've
shellac
varnished
it?
them 5 times.
Really?
But this takes 4 hours to go through and do
Where do you
one.
find
One
these?
egg?
1 egg.
Where can you find these, like finished products that you
Well,
have done,
well-
another artist like you?
St. Mary's Bookstore in Nashville
Oh, really?
and Atlanta has them.
Good.
Lots of neighborhoods where you have Ukrainian people will have them.
Wonderful.
And
at these,
it's a
you
very
guys.
traditional design.
Well, I am
They're
simply
just
amazed.
incredible.
This is major league when it comes to egg decorating. But Dan, this is a very good demonstration, and we wish you the best. on
And you're
doing
saying
that
that
at home.
people can do this at home with their kids by using what? Just crayons?
You
and-
could take a crayon and write on an egg and then dip it in a color.
Right.
Food color?
Basically, it's wax. Yes, you could use the food color on eggs you're going to eat.
And
That's
just have some
fine.
fun with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Dan, you are just incredible. I'm in awe of your talent.
These
Thank you
are
so much for
remarkable.
sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Apologize for the wagering that took place in the studio audience during that race as well, but
Where's his prize, Bob?
well, he gets our pysanky egg over there.
Oh, he
which-
gets a pysanky egg.
Yeah, which is the one we did.
Oh.
The real cheap one, okay?
Is it done? Can we show it? Is it done yet?
Bring it over real quick.
Okay.
Right here. Okay.
He said it's ready.
In the meantime, you can watch for Mike Snyder on the Grand Ole Opry when you're in Nashville over the weekend, and these are the prizes for you.
Okay, now we got to get a close up. This is the Crook and Chase egg that you get.
Okay, right there. 3. Oh, three.
Where?
Where is it? Okay, got it right there.
3, that's it.
No, where's 3?
There's
3
one
is
now.
behind us. Somebody
There's
give me
one.
the right number.
There you
I'm
go.
1. That's where I had it, you guys.
There you
Okay,
go.
look. There. He gets the Crook and Chase pysanky.
Congratulations, Mike. We'll be right back after this.
I got the bad news at the St. Mary's Bookstore, and they're doing some neat things. Beautiful eggs out there.
I love
Let's
these.
go to him now.
Oh, wouldn't your Easter basket look nice, guys, with eggs like this in them? If you have as many as you normally get, I'm sure it would cost a pretty penny to have all these in there. Dan Smith is here. He is a Ukrainian egg decorator. But you don't look like you're from Ukraine.
No, I'm not. I'm from Nashville. That's right. I'm from Nashville.
How you doing, Dan?
Just fine.
Good, good. Tell us about the ancient art here of Ukrainian egg decorating.
Ukrainian eggs are unique in that they are covered with symbols and colors that all have meaning. A lot of Eastern European eggs are decorated, but the designs are lost in history. And so the Ukrainian eggs are the ones I favor the most because they're covered with lots and lots of symbols. Some of them are pre-Christian. They all have to do with the Easter message and with springtime. And I like putting those designs and those messages on my eggs.
Yeah, very good. Let's talk about one specifically now. Most every symbol has some kind of meaning, right?
Exactly, exactly. This goose egg is covered with several different bunches of grapes. Those represent the wine of communion. The wheat is also on the egg. It represents the bread of communion, and of course wheat is the main crop of Ukraine. On the back side of the egg, we have lots of little dots. Those represent the tears of the Virgin Mary at the crucifixion of her son. There are some crosses on there also. Those are worked very intricately in lots and lots of the designs. There are lots of geometric designs and plant and animal motifs put onto the eggs as well.
Now, I guess just sitting here and looking at these as closely as I've been here, and you owed yourself a trip to come by and look at these, but you know, are you sitting there with a paintbrush and just kind of dabbing all this paint on there?
That's the illusion. People have the common misconception that this is all done with paint. It's all done with regular Easter egg dye, like you'd buy and take home and do at your home.
Wow.
The colors are a little more intense because I don't use edible dyes, but that's what we're doing.
Well, speaking of how-to, let's come on over here to the table. This is the demonstration table where you folks can actually come by and see him do this. Explain to us now what you're doing.
Okay, what I'm doing, I have a little tool called a kistka. And the kistka, this is an original handmade one. It's basically a piece of wood with a copper funnel put in it, and that's heated up over the flame. This is then filled, the top of the funnel is then filled with wax. This is beeswax. This is also a newer model, a little bit less likely to catch fire because of that one is wood. So we've come a long way here. And then wax is heated in this little funnel, and I placed it on the egg like this.
Now it's black.
It's black because of the carbon from the flame.
I see.
That helps me a little bit, so I'm very sure where the designs are going. And there are different intensities of the carbon based on each tool.
Okay, now, why are you putting the wax on there? What does that do?
The wax is shielding. This is a batik method. In Ukrainian, it's called batikova even. It's a method of shielding the egg from the next darker color. So I start with this one, and all of this has been covered up just over the white of the eggshell. And now this egg is yellow. After I finish drawing designs I want to stay yellow, I'll put it into the blue for a few seconds, and it'll turn this light color of green. You can see the yellow is underneath there. Then I'll draw the designs I want in yellow, and then I'll put it back in, and it'll turn blue like this. This is a gradual progression of lighter color to darker color. And then at the end, all the wax is melted off. That's when the designs come out.
Amazing. And then to get that gloss on there, how many coats of varnish?
5 coats of varnish.
Amazing. So if you thought Ukrainian eggs, you take the little paintbrush and dip it and paint them and everything. See, now you have learned something right there. You can see this here at the St. Mary's Bookstore at 1909 Weston Avenue. How long are you going to be down here doing this?
I'm going to be here this Saturday from 10 until 1, and then next Saturday, just before Palm Sunday, from 10 until 1. Okay. So people can come in and we can talk about it, and be glad to tell them whatever they want to know.
They can start a new tradition in their home by getting in a Ukrainian egg every year.
It's a nice gift for Easter or a new baby or a baptism, whatever.
Very good. Okay, we'll be back with more Talk of the Town in just a minute. Don't go away.
Thanks.
It just fits. Pick up T-shirts at your favorite
Man Who Knows store.
Man Who Knows. I was going to say the little convenience mark on the corner.
Sure.
Clint's picture on the front, the Man Who Knows on the back. There you go, marketing idea.
Of course.
Well, Thursday, right here in Murfreesboro, we have a good show for you today. Dan Smith is here from St. Mary's Bookstore. Now, what, a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about what in the world does painting an egg have to do with Easter?
Sure.
You know, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I don't know if Dan's got the answer, but I'm going to ask him.
Okay.
Because the man is involved in egg painting.
I tell you what, I looked at these eggs before we came on.
Oh, really?
And they're hollow inside. I'm very interested to see how he gets the inside
How do you
stuff
suck
out.
the egg of an egg, of the inside of an egg out, and then paint it, or paint it first, or whatever?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Ukrainian folk art, egg painting, and we're going to find out all about that.
Very good.
As well as Karen Whitaker from MTSU, and she is the women's athletic trainer.
Very good.
At MTSU, and as always, we're just love having people from MTSU.
Sure.
Wonderful source for us. So let's see, Steve After will be along with sports. Clint will probably be back with more news, and we've got a good show for you today, so we invite you to stick around. We'll take a commercial break and be right back.
Don't go away.
Thanks and welcome back on the Thursday edition of Murfreesboro Night and Day. I am Doug Roberts, joined now by my new friend Dan Smith from St. Mary's Bookstore in Nashville. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing? Good.
I got to tell you, after well over 250 of these, we've never had someone bring a burning candle on this show.
Burning candle, all right. Well, we're going to do something new every time, right?
Absolutely. This may be a real treat. Now, this is unquestionably going to be a real treat. We had talked about, Misty and I had talked about just before we started, about this Ukrainian egg. We said egg painting, but that's not exactly correct, is it?
It's called that. A lot of people call it that, but it's not done with any paint.
Done with dye.
It's done with dye. So you're painting with dye. You're not painting with paint.
Before we go any further at all, we got to see if you can answer this, because just I don't know, a week and a half ago, Misty asked on this show. We were talking about Easter. I asked her if she was ready, and she said, "Where did this whole business of painting eggs come from? You know, what does that have to do with Easter?"
Exactly.
Do you have any idea?
I have some ideas on that, yes. Some of the study I've done in putting this together.
Well, share it with us, please.
Okay, great. The egg looks like a tomb. It just sits there like a rock.
Yeah.
So if you bring forth life out of it, you have a chicken coming out of it. It's a prototype, if you will, of the resurrection.
Yeah.
Of something that looks like a
analogy.
stone, and life comes forth from it.
Yeah.
A cocoon is the same type thing, where a butterfly comes out of it.
Absolutely.
So that's why a lot of people decorate eggs in different parts of the world, and even in non-Christian environments in the spring, so that it shows forth the new life coming.
Now, what we're talking about, and you're not going to believe some of these eggs that Dan has brought. It's unbelievable. We're going to show them to you in just a second. But we talked about this is, you said, Ukrainian folk art, right?
It is. It's a Ukrainian technique. It's called pysanky. Pysanky is the plural of the eggs. One of these finished eggs is called a pysanka. It comes from the Ukrainian verb pisat, which means to write. These eggs are written on with wax, not with ink, as opposed to being painted with paint or having designs scratched into them with enough.
Right. Well, I want to start by opening some of this up and showing some of these beautiful. I mean, we're going to give you a nice shot at close up here. I'm going to hold this up so you can see this. This is absolutely fantastic. Now, this is a real egg, right?
It's a real egg. That's a goose egg.
This is a goose egg. It's got to be that size. Now, these are also hollow.
They're hollow. In the South, the barometric pressure changes a lot, and if you don't blow the eggs out, as they dry out on the inside, they crack.
Wow.
And so I don't want them to do that. So
This
we blow
is
them out.
absolutely, I wish everybody could be right here and just see this. This is absolutely, I mean, art at its finest. This is just incredible. It is so. Now, this is obviously a hen egg.
That's a hen egg.
Yeah.
I also have done as large as ostrich eggs and
Really?
as small as this little cockatiel egg right
Wow,
here.
I'll take this over.
Yeah,
And
it's
this is
just
in a
tiny.
basket.
It's in a little basket. It's so fragile, can't hardly even touch it, but it's
And
a little cockatiel egg.
It is. It's beautifully decorated. A little tiny egg that size. Wow. How beautiful. Okay. Now, Dan is going to demonstrate a demonstration right here today on this show, folks.
And before our very eyes.
Right before your very eyes. Don't blink, and we will use no trick photography in this. So what are you going to do for us here, Dan?
Okay, what I'm going to do, I have these little tools. This is called a kistka, and basically what it is a funnel. This is a handmade model. I'll just tell you about this one.
It looks like a stick with a nail through it.
Well, it is a stick, and through it is a little copper funnel. Someone's
Okay.
twisted some copper and made a funnel.
All right.
And this has a tiny hole in one end of it and a larger hole in the other. And the reason it's black is because it's been over the carbon
fire
here
line.
with the fire.
Okay.
Now, we hold that over the flame and get it warm and scratch. This is beeswax.
Oh, okay.
It's pure beeswax. It has black on it from the carbon as well. And we scratch the side of the beeswax and get some of that down in the funnel.
Okay.
Now, these are some more modern methods of the same thing, and just show you on this one because it'll make a nicer line.
Now, obviously, if that's hot, you put that beeswax, the beeswax is going to melt.
The beeswax melts, and it goes into this, it stays in this funnel,
Okay.
and it melts. And what I'm doing is I'm writing the designs in wax. So here I go, drawing a line. This one's going to be a curved line, like this.
And that's literally what he's doing. He's just got
I'm
an egg.
just
and he's
writing
drawing
on here.
like a little snake.
This
on
is
the
an
egg here.
eggshell,
Yeah.
and
Now this egg is already it's already
been blown
hollowed
out. It's
Okay.
been blown out.
All right.
Then I'm going to draw everything I want to be white in the finished egg. I have to cover it up now with this wax. This wax is not going to stay on there, but this line that I've drawn is going to be white line in the finished product.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I have a little set right here that explains about it.
Yeah, let's do those.
Okay, this is a traditional design called the 40 Days of Lent. And the first one is just the regular white egg. Everything that I have covered up with the wax on the shell is going to be white in the finished egg. I have to protect it from the dye as I dye it into the next color. So after I get all the designs on here I want, I dip it into yellow, and it comes out, and it may turn bright yellow or pale yellow, whatever. That changes with the shells. It's controlled by the shell. Then I draw the things I want to be yellow in the egg at the time while the shell is yellow. Then I take that egg and drip it into blue for just a moment, and it turns green. And you can see a little bit better there some of the designs, the green and the yellow and white and so forth. Then I put it back into blue and leave it a while so it turns blue. Then I cover up some more things that I want to be blue in the finished egg, dip it into pink, same thing. Here we go, it turns pink, and I cover it up.
So all the different colors wind up...
You just put all the colors in, but you do them in a sequence from lighter to darker. And then the final product, after I dip this egg into pink and draw on it, then the last color is black. So I'm going to put this egg into a black dye, and when it comes out, it's going to either be the black wax or the black dye, and they look black like this.
Sure do.
Now, this too is a symbol like the tomb. They would work on these during Holy Week, and this would be, by Good Friday, they would have all the eggs black like this. So when they go to the Easter, Good Friday liturgy of Christ going into the tomb and so forth, this is what these look like. They come home after that service and start melting the wax off of the eggs just by holding them over a flame. That gets the wax hot again. And just rub that off.
Wow.
And here's the design coming through.
Isn't that incredible?
Of
that really is beautiful. That's amazing. I would have had no idea how to do that.
It's not done with any paint. It's all built, one color at a time. So you have to do all the white first. You can't go backwards. So you're gradually adding the different colors.
All right, now though, but as easy as you've made this out to be, you still have to be very talented to come up with some of these designs. You have to be an artist.
It does take a little bit of practice and a little bit of study. All the designs are traditional Ukrainian folk designs. And the interesting thing that I have found about Ukrainian eggs as opposed to Polish eggs or Czech eggs or Bulgarian eggs is that every little design has a meaning.
Really?
Yeah. They existed
kind of like hieroglyphics.
Exactly. Yeah. All the other cultures had that meaning as well, but through the course of all the wars and things that have happened in Central Europe, it's all been lost, except with the Ukrainian culture, so that a shock of wheat not only stands for the wheat that they grow in Ukraine, it also is symbolic of the bread for communion.
Wow.
Or this little lattice work design that you see on this one. That is a fishnet to remind us to be fishers of men. And, of course, the crosses are obvious. The dots represent the tears of the Virgin Mary at the crucifixion.
How is this protected now?
That's varnished 5 times.
Okay, so you literally varnish it.
Varnish it.
Okay, then does that make the consistency of the egg any greater? I mean, if you drop this thing, it's going to shatter,
It's going to shatter all to pieces. The only thing it's protecting is the water-soluble dye from moisture, so the colors don't run. It doesn't strengthen the shell. The shell will still crack.
Shell is still a shell.
Shell will crack no matter what.
How did you become interested in this, and how did you learn this?
Well, I taught myself how to do this. I was in New York in 1991. I saw, I went up in February for my birthday, and I went to see the Malcolm Forbes collection, all the wonderful Fabergé with the gold and the diamonds and all of that, which is an outgrowth of the peasant folk art.
Really?
And in that same part of Manhattan, in the southern part in the village, there is a Ukrainian neighborhood. And Doug, they have wonderful Easter breads with elaborate designs. They have lots of embroidery work, and they have a wall full of these eggs. And I saw them, and I could not understand what this was. I thought it looked like paint. That's the common idea, it's painted. And I said, can I buy one of these somewhere? And they said, oh yes, right around the corner there's a shop. And the lady's sister probably was running that shop, and so I went around there, and they had another big collection of these, and I couldn't figure out still which one I wanted. How do you learn how to do this? And they said, well, there's just some basic little tools, beeswax, dye. They have some instructions and lots of books on the different designs that have been collected so that they don't get lost, the symbols and all of that. And they said, your main investment is your time. You just have to be patient.
And talent.
And it's not it's not easy to draw a straight line on a surface that's not flat.
No.
So reconciling all of these things, I worked on it the first year, and I thought, well, You know, I still can't get these out of my mind, but I don't bring those to the store. I'm not going to show those. And then the next year, this is one I made the second year. The lines are kind of heavy and thick, but it's a fish design going back and forth. And that one's 1992 on it. I remember putting the date on there. And so I worked on it some more, and there was some interest generated. And I went down to St. Mary's Bookstore, and we've been selling them there, and decorating and demonstrating in the store.
Eggs like this are available at St. Mary's Bookstore.
St. Mary's Bookstore. There are not very many made because this is a hobby. It's just a part-time thing I do, and I only have them down there during Lent. So Ash Wednesday to now is about the only time you could get one.
I have to ask, what does an egg sell for? Something like this very small one to a very large one.
Well, the small one is a bantam egg, and it's not really for sale. I just did that one to see if I could do it. They range, the chicken eggs range from $35. They come with a stand, kind of like this. Wow. Duck eggs are $45, and the goose eggs are $65. And they come with a brass stand. And they come with a brochure explaining, you know, what all the symbols are. Even the colors have meaning. Wow. Black is for eternity, green is for spring and new life, red,
incredible,
so forth.
I wish everyone could see the detail on these up close because it's just so, it's just incredible. They're so good. Do they sell well?
I can't make enough.
I bet.
And,
but you know, I would think there's a market for this year round. I mean, it is.
Well, there would be, except it's part of my Lenten discipline.
I see.
And I don't want to do Christmas designs or 4th of July or anything like that. Now, if people wanted to get this and study it and do their own, you know, they could do any kind of designs that this would adapt for other designs.
I can see where something like that would be beautiful, though, on a mantle year-round, not just at Easter.
People do leave them out, yes. I do leave them out. And this particular design is called the 4 Seasons of the Year. And see, there's the fall and winter.
Right.
And now we have spring, and then there's fruit on the tree in the summer.
That's
and we have this one out at home at a stand, and just turn it whenever it's the time for the new season. Just turn it around. But that's a very traditional folk design. But that's a very popular one.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful. Wow. I wish we had all day to talk about this. It's such a. You're very talented.
Thank you very much.
And wow, I have learned a lot. This is beautiful. Now, St. Mary's Bookstore is located where?
It's on West End Avenue, between the Hampton Inn and the Marriott Courtyard near the cathedral.
Okay.
Sort of in the 1900 block of West End in Nashville. And when Lent comes back around, I put them in the store on Ash Wednesday. If there are any left by Easter, that's when they go. And I'm demonstrating in the store on the Saturdays, the 4 Saturdays before Palm Sunday.
Okay.
So when people want to come into town, they can kind of come in, we'll talk about it, and see what they
Well, we certainly want to invite everybody to stop on by at St. Mary's Bookstore. Is that on West End in Nashville? And meet Dan and see this, because you have to see it up close to really appreciate the wonder
the fine lines up close is where you really get the best design.
This is great. Well, I've enjoyed this. Well,
great. Okay, I'll be glad to. We'll get some new things. I'm going to be working on Rhea eggs next year. So
really?
We'll
big
have
old
something else.
Ostrich egg.
And an ostrich egg, too. Yeah, we can do some big ones. That way you can see it a little better.
Yes. Well, that's quite all right. We appreciate you being here.
Well, great.
Great. Dan Smith from St. Mary's Bookstore in Nashville and West End. And we invite you to stop on by and check it out, because these are absolutely incredible.
Have a good Easter.
Yes, it is a Thursday in Murfreesboro on Night and Day, and we need to take a short commercial break. We will be right back after this.
We're back.
Hey, we are back. And I got to tell you, I had a ball working with Dan Smith.
Well, that good.
First half of the show with his Ukrainian egg dyeing, actually, technique. We said painting, but it's actually dye as it is. You don't really paint anything on there.
Cool.
But I got to tell you, and all the guests we've had on this show, we've had some incredibly talented people. You know, Dan was right up there with them.
I'm sure.
It's a shame that you can't see at home the intricate designs that are on the eggs. Now, you didn't get a chance to hear his explanation.
I didn't.
Of Easter and eggs and where that all happened. And so in case anyone missed it, according to him and his studies, that this goes way back, you know, way, many years ago, that the egg stood for a tomb, that it looked somewhat like a tomb. And what happens with an egg? Birth comes from regeneration of birth comes out of an egg, chicken or an ostrich or whatever it is, therefore representing the new birth of. And he said that's what it goes back to.
Very good.
And so people wanted to make that into because it was such a nice thing, it should be a beautiful thing.
But it should be more mainstream. Why do people not? That's such a wonderful explanation. Why?
I don't know.
You know, it should be.
But I must admit, I had never heard that myself either.
Not
And
either.
it makes as much sense as anything I could have come up with.
Sure.
But according to him, that's where it has its basis in historical facts. So.
What about the bunny?
Who am I to? Well, we'll have to have someone else on the
You
show
didn't get an Easter chicken.
to explain the bunny.
Yeah.
Who is it? Is Cadbury?
Oh yeah.
I have never understood that. I'm sorry, I don't understand it. The whole idea of a rabbit that sounds like a chicken. And just somehow it goes over my head. That I've never understood that advertising, that whole idea.
I think it's just to be hokey.
I guess, it's never made any sense to me, but I don't sit around and study it, so. Well, hey, here we go. It's, Thursday in Murfreesboro. And as always, we like to take a moment or two and tell you about some things going on.
Go ahead.
Very good. Special announcement for all of you rodeo fans watching right now. The Charlie Daniels Twin Pines Ranch Rodeo is coming to MTSU Livestock Center on April the 26th.
In putting together this compilation of different clips of times I was on television demonstrating the Ukrainian eggs, pysanky, if you will, I found the raw footage that Clifton Hunt from Channel 5 had shot back in 1994. And in it, there was a sequence where he simply took a turntable and we put different eggs on it, and sometimes there were several eggs going around on it. He just shot some of that and used it briefly in one of the clips, actually the first clip in the compilation. So I thought, well, this is interesting. It runs about 10 minutes. What could I do with this? So I took this raw footage and put it together with some music, the Tales of the Vienna Woods, and the notion that I had was perhaps the eggs do something when we're not watching them. And I guess that they are so excited with how beautiful that they are that they dance and that they waltz. So I put some special effects with that and some music, and I call it Waltz of the Pysanky, and I hope you'll enjoy it.